Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man. And today I'm going to be talking to you all about how do people who are evil or people who are dark open their spiritual gifts? Aren't you supposed to be a person of light, a being of light? Aren't you supposed to be close to God? Aren't you supposed to be on the right track for gifts to open? Yeah, so how do people who are evil and dark get theirs open? What an interesting topic, because there's some people who are really dark and evil who are going to watch this video and be like, that's why, and they might convert to being better people just to have their gifts open, which is, I mean, at least their gifts will open, but the Lord can see your intentions, and if that's truly you, that'll become you. If that's not you, you'll go back to being your default self. So, how do people who are really nasty and evil get their gifts opened? Well, let's talk about how people who are people of light, people who are good, people who are doing right have their gifts opened. So, when you're on the right track, when you're moving closer to God, things take time. I'm going to use the example of working out, which is something I do. And for example, on a weight with biceps, people will be bummed out for a year that they do biceps and their biceps don't get bigger, when sometimes their genetics are not supposed to, that's not the muscle that's supposed to get bigger first, because they'll have something else that looks good, such as their chest, or their legs will get bigger than before their bicep, and that's just the order of how things should go, but they don't know any better. So sometimes people will want to do skip arounds. What's a skip around in the gym? Steroids. I'm not beating around that. So people will do steroids and be like, ha! And then once they stop, that's the dark method. So people will do these hardcore steroids, and sometimes you'll see people who do steroids in the gym will just disappear, and no one really asks about them. Same thing with weight competitors on Facebook. They'll be doing the hardcore steroids all their lives, and they'll just drop like flies. And if everything I'm saying rhymes, just that's not something I intentionally do. But because I'm just, Dr. Seuss, Stoneman Seuss, Dr. Stoneman, actually, and I'm a spirit. I'm not a physical doctor. I'm a stone doctor, not a physical doctor. Like not a witch doctor. What do you call it? Because some people say Dr. Stoneman. That's okay. Like people have doctorates in their degrees, and this is technically my degree, but I don't cover anything physical on my channel. This is all spiritual. If I talk about anything physical, it's to compare the physical. So how are these people who are dark getting their gifts opened? How does someone who doesn't do any workouts get muscles? They do it the easy way. They take the easy way out. And what does that contain of? Consequences. Aha. And I'm going to use the example of chasing the dragon, because that's exactly what people do who are dark, open their gift set to. So someone who's on the right track, someone who's doing good, someone who's right, it depends where you're starting off, it depends where you're at in your spiritual journey, it depends wherever you were at in your past lives, because sometimes some of you are ungifted in your past lives in the sense that nothing's open. Some of you are so gifted you'll get into this life and you're like, oh my God, and some people will pray to the point where they ask their gifts to go away because it's too much and they don't know why they have it, when in the past life the person was just levitating around in another realm basically. But when it comes to the point of opening gifts, and you're at square one, that's okay. It might take a couple of years for your gifts to open, but they'll open correctly. You try to do it too quick, and there's consequences. If you try to, and the way of light, the right way to open it is slowly and gradually. That's how it's supposed to be. So it's something you keep, something that lasts, something that's a part of you versus something that's just inherently open by accident. And that's how some people who open their spiritual gifts all at once, they'll kind of go past their guides. And sometimes people accidentally do this. So there'll be a certain person, and sometimes this happens to people, they'll open all their gifts at once, and they'll see everything, they'll hear everything, and they're just, whoa, and then the gifts, so it was like this, and then everything just opened like, and it snapped back closed, and people are like, well, I can't ever get my gifts open like that again. Well, you weren't supposed to open it like that, because that was too much. Like, there's certain people out in this world, right? And these people are people who are just, they somehow watch some kind of binaural beats on YouTube and a guided meditation, and boom, their spiritual gifts are open. And guess what? Guess what happens to those people? They're so shocked and traumatized, and they opened all their spiritual gifts, and they didn't do it necessarily through a way of light, but They opened all their gift sets, the entire gift set at once, and now spirituality is evil because they're seeing ghosts, and people think that opening your third eye means seeing all these extra entities. No, that's not it. That's someone who forced their gift set open before it was prematurely open, which they'd have probably opened that anyway, but now it's going to take more time. So, essentially, the people who are doing good and right, it's a slow process. It should be slow, because if it's fast, it's not fun, and you'll probably lose the progress, okay? Now, what happens? How are people get to the point, Stillman? I'm getting to the point, but there needs to be background information first, or you just won't understand what I'm going to say. It'll sound like I'm speaking another language, another dialect, etc., if you don't understand the baseline to it. Now, what happens when you have someone who's inherently dark? What does someone who inherently dark do or embody? Well, people of darkness can be different. Okay, there's people of darkness who go against God. There's people of darkness who don't acknowledge God. There's people who fight God, which you can't fight God because you'll get to the afterlife and you'll be like, uh-oh, and boom. You know that story. But the thing is, so someone who's inherently dark, so let's just say the person's evil. Like their soul is rotten. So they choose the bad things. They have evil eye. They have envy. They have hatred. They backstab other people. They put other people down. Flat out, there's no question as to if someone has evil intent because it will show in their soul. That's a part of that person. It will show. They'll attract certain entities to them. So people who are dark, you have to keep in mind that we're never, ever, 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 ever alone. There's everything around us always. If you're a person of light, you're probably surrounded by demons too. Just because they're waiting. They're waiting for you to slip. Which, if you don't slip, then wonderful. Then you pass all the tests. But even if you don't slip, and you're probably not going to slip, they're going to hang around anyway because that's the nature of Earth. We're surrounded by light and dark. We can't 100% filter out anything of what we're surrounded by here, and that's just life until you get to the afterlife, and then the spiritual laws change, okay? Or certain laws change because you're without a physical vessel. On the earthly plane, we're surrounded by angels and we're surrounded by demons, but the thing is, if you choose darkness, if you choose to do bad, witchcraft, any form of trying to put someone down with curses, hexes, etc., that will push your guides away. They'll probably stay around for a while, trying to teach you that's wrong, because they really do care about you and they love you, but if they see that there's no potential in you and that you're just going to keep doing bad, they're going to leave. And they'll become someone else's guides, and you'll have things that have been around you or watching you do these dark things, because if you think you're doing black magic by yourself, for the people doing black magic, you're not. You're not doing anything by yourself. You're just calling upon entities who are just waiting for someone to call upon them. Sometimes those entities could not have done anything unless someone called upon them. Now, like I said, there's consequences for everything, and there's no fulfillment in doing anything dark. It actually, people who do black magic, they have the worst lives, and they pretend everything's okay and everything's normal, and they don't know why they can't get ahead. It's like chasing the dragon, which I'll use that as an example several times. It's literally chasing the dragon. It's chasing the devil straight to where he'll take you. Now, for people, and especially for the people worshiping the devil, etc., those people will get their gifts open very fast. Those are false gifts. So basically, as above, so below. I would like you guys to remember that. As there's gifts of light, there's gifts of darkness. What are the difference? When you have a gift that comes from God, that is developed by you, it's your muscle. Like, just if it's hard to use spirituality and gifts as an example, just think about it like this. If you've been working out in the gym and you've not been taking anything, you're not cheating, you're not doing hardcore steroids or any steroids at all, or you're just being natural. And I'm 100% natural as well, okay? For anyone who has to ask, I'm 100% natural. I don't even take any pre-workout, anything. No, nothing. Gemstones and crystals is what you will see in the gym. People in the gym take pictures of me because they see a man covered in crystals or a crystal man on a machine working out. People normally walk up to me and ask me questions, and I'll teach them about crystals, but no, that's your muscle. That's yours. It's yours. You own it because God gave it to you and no man can take it away from you. It's yours. No entity can take it away from you. As long as you're doing right and as long as you're on the right track, those are yours. That's your muscle. That belongs to you because you worked for it. What happens when you do steroids? The steroids, which are in conjunction to darkness, I'm going to use that as an example. So basically, you can think of demons as the steroids. They are kind of acting like the steroids for you. When you use steroids and you just fully depend on them and there's nothing about yourself or in your body that actually can work out by itself without the steroids. That's how the gifts of darkness work. It's 100% reliance. If you stop the steroids, or if the steroids disappear, all your muscle disappears. Ah! Does this make sense, guys? Ah! Wonderful example. This is so cool. I love how these examples just go together. This is awesome. So you're like, oh, that's how these evil people have these gifts. Because it's the same thing with people who, you see them in a gym for 1 year, they got discouraged, so they sold out. Now they're doing steroids. Now that person magically disappears. And people who do steroids, like heavy steroids especially, I'm talking about people who do the heavy steroids and have like they drop at an early age. So do people of darkness. So do the people who have these dark gifts. What does a dark gift consist of? It consists of someone having a gift that's not their gift. Just like the muscle's not yours when you do steroids in the gym. That's not your muscle. That's the steroids muscle. Same thing. Essentially, yes. On a biological standpoint, you guys can study the biology of steroids by yourself, but when it comes to gifts of darkness, that entity, it's literally, and the whole thing with being a person of light, someone who moves themselves closer to God, your soul is full of light. You're continuously, over time, having your soul full of light and that energy. And you wonder how angels are so strong, or how they have so much energy, and how they are able to be at so many places and do so much at once. Like St. Michael the Archangel in the background is because he's full of light. He is blinding light, and light is energy. But for beings without, when you go into darkness, you're carving yourself into a pumpkin. You're making a pumpkin out of yourself. So you're carving the meat out, so you're hollow. But when a light comes along and the jack-o'-lantern lights up, it looks like it's a bright light when something had to come along and put a light in it. So essentially the demons act like a light, and usually it's lower level demons giving people gifts. Sometimes it's when people just start out, it's normally earthbound spirits, or sometimes fae, which depends where you live with the fae part, but essentially, and these entities can push each other out of the way. They're rude. And these lower level entities, especially angels, can push anything off of you from getting to you, especially when you're asking God for help. But these entities, you could have a dark guide, and then one day it could just be gone because a bigger dark guide just went, hey, move! I'm this person's guide now. Back off! And they'll fight over you because your attention. You're the only thing that's allowing them to be in the physical world. So they're going to use you. They're going to use you. So they want to do as much as they can. They'll download as much of their energy into your cell. A lot of people with dark gifts, they'll have the freakiest of symptoms. They'll have headaches. It'll start with headaches and weird head sensations. It'll start with things in their left eye specifically. I don't know what's about the left eye. People with dark gifts, they'll have and headaches in the sense of it's not a physical headache. Okay, I'm not speaking about physics, but anything physical. This is a spiritual headache. They'll have spiritual headaches. Then they'll have these creeping, tingling feelings on their head, and that's basically a dark guide trying to make its place onto your crown to get in. And I tell you guys, when you get black tourmaline from me, you put the black tourmaline on as a necklace, and it protects the throat and the mind. And that's exactly what these dark entities will go for, because that's how they're able to do stuff, by connecting to you from the crown. So once your guides have left, because you're a dark person is being a rotten person, they'll download themselves into the crown, into your other chakras, and they'll go through your chakras until they're a part of you. And now that dark entity can do stuff. Doesn't mean it's strong, but it can do stuff to people who are not of God. So that entity, that person will be chilling, and they seem like a gifted person because things are moving around them, things are falling down, just all this crazy stuff's happening around that person, and they think they're the one doing it when the dark entity is doing it. It wasn't the person doing anything. That person's not gifted. If a person does all these readings and they're just completely by themselves and the readings are not of light, who do you think's doing it? Do you think an angel is really being like, and these dark entities will do anything for energy. So the biggest dark entity will step into place. That's why these people who have a main demon will get pushed out of the way by a minor, bigger demon, because whoever has the mic, basically. So these things will fight over the mic. And what's a gift? So these things, they're stuck on Earth. They're stuck on Earth in different pockets of the astral realm. They can't go back to heaven. Okay? So what can they do for entertainment? They can make human friends to take with them for when the human friends die. They'll go into the afterlife with them, and they're not alone in their suffering. Okay? Especially upon Judgment Day. Yeah. For people who have found out that their guides are dark when they reach the afterlife, it's too late. You're stuck with that thing, and it can do whatever it wants with you. So they'll tell you absolutely every single lie to be able to not get you to run away or go closer to light, but you'll have opportunities and you'll have chances. So what am I talking about with these dark guides downloading stuff? It's the dark guide doing it. The dark guide, it's not your gift. It's basically the dark guide acting as a steroid. And once the dark guide implants itself into your chakras, it's able to use you to do things. So let's just say the dark guide's a steroid, and now you're muscular, like spiritually muscular. Now you're able to do things spiritually you'd never be able to do before, and people think you're someone who's evil and gifted. No such thing. I'm gonna say this right now. This is gonna be a very shocking part of the video. From about 95% of the evil people and the rotten people on the internet who have spiritual gifts, they're just making it up. I said it. They're just making it up. They're just putting on a show. Because they require energy and attention to stay relevant. The people who have the biggest spiritual gifts are not saying anything because they want to protect their gifts. But these people who are dark, like, I have this gift, I have that gift, I have this gift, I have that gift. These people have watched American Horror Story and they've came online and they're saying, oh, and even if some of these people can do that, it's not even them doing it. It's just an entity using their body, using their astral form, kind of navigating them because this person doesn't know what they're doing. Now, and are these people satisfied with their gifts open like that? Being able to do crazy things, like have all this crazy clairvoyance, crazy clairaudience, being able to hear everything, being able to see everything. Are these people ever satisfied with their gifts being open? I'm going to tell you that because I feel like, well, whatever gets it open, if I have to go to it, and I hope some people don't get to stop it, but no. Some people will be like, well, if a dark guide gets everything open, I might as well try that. Well, the dark guide can open you 90%, but not 100%. Because 100% requires light. So it's kind of like chasing the dragon. It's like a high. So back to my point of chasing the dragon. The devil's literally depicted as a dragon, and look what's happening with the dragon in the background. If you guys don't know what happens to dragons, for he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, thou shalt dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the dragon, and the young lion and the adder shall trample under feet. They'll trample under feet when it comes to the judgment day. So don't go siding with the losing side. How many times do I have to say that, guys? Because people who actually do achieve this, and I've seen people do it, they'll get to a certain point with their gifts through a dark guide, and they can't open the rest. It's kind of like watching a movie 90% and you can't watch the last part of the movie, and you're just stuck curious, and you're not sure what will get the rest of the gifts open. They'll open your gifts all the way up to the point where the best part can only be done by God. So I kind of think the creator does that just to have people be like, okay, well, this is how far you get. You wanted a taste, but you can't have everything because everything belongs to what's good. So people who actually have opened, and keep in mind that, imagine having a gift that you can never get never opened, but it's almost open, but it almost never opens because, I mean, it feels like it's about to open, it gets close to opening, and it closes back up again. What's that? It's chasing the dragon. So there's zero fulfillment in people having dark guide-led gifts. And plus, those people, if the dark guide gets sick or bored of you, and I've seen dark guides just think people are dumb, and these things will bolt. So that dark guide is they're not with you. They're just using you for energy until they find someone more interesting. So sometimes these people who have sold out and they're using demonic entities to channel their gifts will one day it feels like someone cursed them, and these people will be like, did someone curse me, etc., etc. And because I get asked that all the time. People ask me all the time, did someone curse me? Blah, 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 blah. It's usually when the dark guide who has everything open in the person leaves and go to someone else. It could be someone across the world. It could be, I'm not going to say who they go to, but they normally, when these dark guides level up, because these things have a motive. If you really don't think something's channeling all its gifts through you through a motive, it's leveling up. It's taking, and usually these guides will just use you until, they'll use you until a certain point, and then be like, oh cool, finally I can do this by myself now. I don't need this person to be able to do this. Like, oh, I can walk through a house now. I can turn into a cat. Well, I'll make another video about that. Lugao. But there are certain things where certain dark guides can actually trickle upon certain spiritual laws after they've built up such an energy from being with the person for so long that the person thinks they have a legitimate connection to the dark guide, and the dark guide's like, oh, well, I can't use you anymore. You're not beneficial to me. It bolts. It goes to someone else. That's why some of the people who have worked with Jinn, those Jinn are freakishly strong. Like, they're able to do all this stuff on buses and stuff like that. And they're able to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, you're like, why can't all of them do this? Well, this one has been with a person and leveled up to the point where it doesn't need anyone for help. That's what its goal was. When you work with angels, if you work with beings of light, they love you unconditionally. They love you like no human could love you. They love you with an unconditional divine love. And God loves you in a way that no other human can love you. Angels love you in a way no other human could love you. It's a heavenly love. And these dark guides, they're using you like no other entity can use you. Because they're leveled up to a point and they'll use you and they'll take off and they'll bolt. So that's the rewards of working with a dark guide. For people who are actually working with, and these things will stay around for like 2, 3, 4 years, and then the person who has had the most spiritual gifts ever through unlocking them through darkness, who felt like they're about to open their gift, felt like they're gonna get to the next level, it drives them to the point where they feel like they're going insane when they're just, their gifts will go straight out the door. Because that thing leveled up and they didn't know what it was from. They thought it was them. Actually, a lot of times, they don't know a dark entity is doing it. Sometimes a smart person there's no such thing as a smart person channeling dark entities, because these things lie. It's like the dark entity will it'll have you doing certain things, like being able to see the future and like, this is you. Look at the power you have, and don't listen to any of this fluff. Any of the bad things that these entities say. They'll say, well, it'll use your third eye as a portal to be able to send you certain things, and you'll have visions, and the dark guide will basically say in your ears, like, you're doing all this. Look at the power that you have. And these things will inflate your ego, because when your ego gets bigger, it gets you closer to the devil, and it gets you away from God, and the thing will pump your ego up and be like, look at these visions that you're having. These visions. Like no other human has these. You're the most powerful person on you're the most powerful person ever. And the thing will channel all this energy into you to you being able to contribute back to it so it can level up. And then it bolts after like 3 or 4 years. It's usually 2. Depends on the entity. Who cares about the entity when you're doing it through light? And the entities will boost your ego in the most nasty ways. They'll be like, look what you can do. You're your own god. And they'll have you teaching other people just nonsense. That's why you see certain spiritualists on TikTok being like, well, the thing about humans is that we're all just mini gods and no one wants to tell us. If that was the case, you'd be able to help get yourself out of whatever rut you're in and remove the karma by yourself, but it's not working out for you. So these people who are doing dark things are being hit by constant karma, and they think other people are cursing them when it's them not recognizing but that what they're doing is taking the easy way out. Same thing with celebrities who sell their souls. Some of them will sell their souls and they'll just have a whole life. Their entire life is fame and fortune, but they don't have an option. They're like, oh, I'd like to have my fame and fortune. I'd like to have my fame and fortune this way, but they're getting dragged around like by a leash. The leash by the certain entities that drag them around. And they can't do anything. It's just they're on autopilot and they're not. What are you gonna do? Ask God for help after that? The whole point is, when you do things with the easy way out, when you take the easy way out, it comes back to you, but you don't normally see it until the end of your life, and then it's too late. Do things through God. Do things that are right and full of light, and guess what? The gifts will be yours. They won't just disappear, and you'll be able to continue and elevate past the point where these people who are dark, who are showing off certain gifts, their gifts just disappear, but yours will stay. Plus, you'll go to heaven, and they'll just be giftless in hell, okay? There's nothing cute about being on the wrong side, being on the losing side, okay? I hope this video is very clear and obvious for you. This is a video I've been leading up to because I've been getting several questions about this. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!